guys, well, my November 9th DVD update. When I talk about all the DVDs and Blu-rays I've got, it's only been actually a week this time. I'm actually going away this Sunday for a trip, just for fun, for a week. So since I'm going to be away, I didn't want the next DVD update to be over 2 weeks, you know, between the updates. So I'm doing an update a little early, so I don't have as much to show. I do have pretty much still, though. But these are the things that I've gotten over the last week. Now the first one, this one I am so excited is hitting Blu-ray now. And it's Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, which is, truthfully, probably my top favorite movie. Like, one of my top favorite movies. Like, and now some people say, like, when you judge your favorite movies, I judge my favorite movies. And if anyone says anything, I have been stuffed up. I've had real bad allergies lately. But like, I judge my favorite movies on movies that I can watch again and again and again that are, like, to me, like, real fun movies that I always love. Like, the amount of times that I've watched Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and The Bogus Journey, which I really hope comes to Blu-ray soon as well. You know, I think I probably started watching this right when the VHS came out. And then I saw the sequel in theaters, and I remember being in summer camp when it came out, and I used to be kind of obsessed that I was a robot after the sequel, and like tried to take my face off, and I was a bit nuts. But the movie, if you've never seen Bill and Ted, first of all, it looks great on Blu-ray. The only thing I, you know, have always been hoping is that they would put the deleted scenes out, like the deleted ending and stuff at the prom. One day, hopefully someone, you know, the edit of the movie just puts it online or something, so I've been dying to see that. But the movie, though, if you haven't seen it, is about Bill and Ted, and they're these two guys that are at risk of failing out of school because they're not doing very well in their history class. They really can't grasp the thing, and they're not really paying attention or that interested. And they have a final exam that they have to present to the school, and if they don't pass this, they end up, you know, flunking out. And the one has to go to military school if he doesn't. So basically, what ends up happening is George Carlin's character, and this is in the future, ends up coming to help them with giving them a time machine, as you know, in a phone booth, and they end up traveling back in time and end up picking up political and, you know, history figures like, you know, Genghis Khan and Sigmund Freud and, you know, Socrates, you know, Socrates, and, you know, their plan is to present them at the school. It's a really fun movie. You know, my favorite scene always has been Napoleon at the water park. But this is just such a great movie. Like, if you haven't seen this, you know, this is one of those ones you just have to go out and immediately get if you have not seen this. This is just such a fun movie. And some people don't love the sequel. I remember one teacher's like, I didn't like that, because we were talking about movies years ago, and he's like, I hated that sequel. I always liked the sequel. And the thing that's kind of cool about these movies is there hasn't been too many movies where you look at them and you can, like, totally see the difference in years. Like, you look at this, it totally screams 80s. You look at the sequel, which was only, like, came out, I think, 3 years after this one, and I think, in 1991, and you look at the difference, it's like, wow. It looks so 90s and, like, totally different in looks. It's just really interesting. Even the future version was a little bit more with a 90s vibe to it, like kind of like the Star Trek Next Generation. But anyway, though, this is a great one. Like, if you haven't seen it, you know, I really did want to talk about it. It's got some new features. It has an episode of the show, you know, the cartoon. Now, hopefully, I'm hoping that someone puts out the live-action Bill and Ted show that only was on for like 6 or 7 episodes. It really wasn't very good. But I remember watching it when it was on going, this is kind of weird. And the one kid, I think, was the one from Meet the Applegates, which is still not on Blu-ray or DVD. But this is a really good one. The next one I got is from Universal, and it's Oliver Stone's new film, and I didn't get to see this one in theaters. It's called The Savages, and it's about these two guys that are, you know, big-time marijuana dealers. You know, they're very successful. They have this, you know, very successful strand, which is higher in THC, and basically just, you know, a stronger form of marijuana. And they share this, they have this one girl who's both of their girlfriends, they both share her, and, you know, they don't seem to mind, she doesn't seem to mind. It's sort of like, you know, she's with both of them equally, and it's just sort of their life, and they kind of have this perfect existence. And at the same time, there's this, in Mexico, this drug dealing gang group held by, you know, Salma Hayek's character, and they end up sending a tape to the two guys of these people getting their heads cut off and say, we're coming to meet you about an offer. So basically what this group is, that Salma Hayek's group wants to do, is form a group with them and, because they know how successful their strain of marijuana is, and they end up, wanting to, basically work together. But, it's really all about, Salma Hayek's group. And it's like, if you don't do what they say, you're dead. They'll cut your head off. And that's the thing that's pretty good about this. This is back to Oliver Stone's, like, brutal, natural-born killers kind of vibe. There was some real brutal stuff, especially in the unrated version. But it's basically, though, they don't want to form this group. They kind of want to get out of this. They've made a lot of money. They don't really want to be continuing to sell, this form of marijuana anymore. And so they kind of want to get out of it. So they kind of reject Salma Hayek's offer. And by doing that, it's not so good. Then they go, no, we're changing our mind. And their plan is to disappear and fly out of the country and basically just be off the grid. But they can, end up catching wind of this and end up kidnapping their girlfriend and holding her hostage there, saying, if you don't form this group with us and do what we say, you're never going to see her again. So they're like, we're going to hold her for a year. So the basic thing is them trying to figure out how to get her back and what they can do. This was a really good one, though. I really like this one a lot. This is definitely one, Salma Hayek did a really good job in this. And the other character, Benicio del Toro, was really cool in his part. This is one I would definitely check out. And the next one is from Disney, and it's Disney Pixar's Brave. And the thing with, and this is in the Ultimate Collector's Edition with the Blu-ray, the 3D Blu-ray, the DVD, and the digital copy. And it's got a whole bunch of features in it too, like, making-ofs, and, about the characters and deleted scenes and alternate ending. Now, the thing I want to say too about Pixar movies, I don't think I have ever been let down with their films, and they always have these amazing emotional scenes and really can pull you in more than many of the other animated films from the other companies. Like, I don't know, everything I've seen, especially WALL-E, and they always have stuff in them that, although they're, great for kids, they also have stuff that really works for adults, and they really don't have a babyish vibe to their movies at all. Like, not one of their movies I've ever seen has had, like, kind of, you can tell this is way more for kids to watch. Now, this one, was about a girl who, basically she was going, the princess, and, her mother, who is the queen, is, doesn't really like that this girl is all into shooting arrows and going out, and, like, she really isn't the perfect princess. She's not, doing the things that a princess should be doing. She doesn't have any interest in any of that kind of stuff. And it's the time in, her age where people are going to come to the, there's going to be suitors coming, and it's like going to be a competition for who she's going to pick to marry. And she doesn't want any part of this. She doesn't want to get married now. She's all, believes in, picking who you want and, all that kind of stuff. So she's not into this thing. So they end up coming there, and, she picks the event, which is archery for them to do. And she ends up going and, basically just saying in front of everybody, I'm not doing this, and, shooting the arrows herself and saying, oh, the firstborn can choose, so I choose myself. It doesn't go well. So she ends up getting in a fight with her mother, running off into the woods and meeting this witch, and she ends up, asking the witch, for, a spell to change her destiny. And, basically what happens is it's not a very good thing, what she's done. And what ends up happening to the mother, and how they have to try and change what happens before a certain time. And if they don't change it, the mother's going to be stuck this way. I don't know if they talk about in the trailer exactly what happens to the mother, so I don't really want to ruin anything. But I like, too, how, it has those kind of movies, too, where, they kind of have that kind of movie, where it's kind of like a lesson, and the two characters that don't get along so well, or kind of have their arguments, have those sequences when they're starting to get together again, even in the situations that they're in. And when you look at this compared to, like, Shrek, it's, like, so much better. And I love, like I said with Pixar, how they've gotten so amazingly detailed lately. Like when you compare to their older movies, like Monsters Incorporated, which is a great movie, but you compare to the details and where they've become now, they just keep getting better and better. And this one, to me, I feel like this is one of their most realistic, kind of real-looking movies. Because all the other ones have kind of been about monsters and have been about, WALL-E was, very similar. This one, though, really feels way more real life, to that point. This is one I would definitely recommend. Like I said, it's not, when it's just for kids or anything like that. It really is great for everybody. Has a lot of good features on here. Definitely check this out. And I watched in 3D. Looks really good in 3D. Great depth. Really a fun movie. Really liked it. You know, definitely too has those, you know, sad moments at the end. You know, shed some tears to it. The next one is from Disney as well, and it's Pixar's short film collection. It's a collection of all the recent short films from Pixar. I think it's I don't know when it was they started these ones. I'm guessing from about 2000 and 2003, and it has on the ones on here that were my favorite though was the one with the cloud. It was kind of like with the stork, and it was kind of the clouds that were making the like babies and animals and things like that. And the one cloud was like the thunder cloud, and you know, there's always ones you kind of cry to. And the one especially thing that was kind of cool about this was it has the short films that the directors made when they were in school. And the one that was really pretty cool, and it kind of had a Monsters Incorporated vibe, and I could almost see a whole movie out of it, was this one kid that ends up getting sucked into the TV, and when he gets pulled in, he breaks the TV, and I don't know, and it doesn't have a happy ending. It kind of pokes fun at stuff. Really thought that was a cool short. But if you like the short films, these are basically what you see before the Pixar films. This is a really pretty cool set, and for all of them together, all the recent ones. I remember the first Pixar short film was the guy playing checkers. That's in the first volume. That was one I always remember, like when I first saw that kind of animation. I thought how cool it was. The next one, now this one I only really bought this because people have kept asking me, like, what did you think of this? And I was tempted to watch it, and it's got some terrible reviews online. At least the trailer has awful thumbs down, and I can understand why people are upset about this. This is not the first sequel to Christmas Story. I mean, sort of. There was that Bob Clark did one, like My Summer Story, or didn't like it very much, the other one. But this one is called Christmas Story 2, and I mainly wanted to see this because Daniel Stern. Like, I am a huge Daniel Stern fan, and Daniel Stern in this is totally, you know, what you hope for with Daniel Stern. Kind of a mix between, you know, he's always doing that, Brian, damn this GD. It's him doing all that kind of Daniel Stern pissed off. I mean, if they would have called this movie My Dad the Cheapskate instead of Christmas Story 2 or something like that, I think more people would have liked this. Because it's really not horrible. I mean, it's not great. What I didn't like was they tried to emulate the narration to the first movie, and the guy doing it, they only used maybe about throughout the whole movie, maybe like 3 or 4 minutes of that kind of narration. There's something about it was like making me upset, because it was like, it's not very good. It was like a guy trying to impersonate the great narration to the first film that wasn't that great. But in this one, though, it's I think it's like a couple years after the first movie, and you know, Ralphie ends up, instead of wanting the BB gun, you know, the shooter gun, he ends up wanting a car, and it's him and his friends trying to, well, they end up screwing up the car at a test driving thing, so they end up having to make money, so they end up having to get jobs and stuff. You know, like, it's not horrible. Like I said, I really like Daniel Stern in it, and I really like Daniel Stern's scenes. But besides that, it's not so great. Like what I said, though, like, you know, Daniel Stern is not in very many movies anymore, and he hasn't really been in that many in his whole career. He's kind of been very selective. It has a lot of times when he's, like, not doing movies for a long time. And like I said, I really like that for Daniel Stern. Like, if he wasn't in this, I don't know, I don't think I would watch it. The next one, I just finished buying this, and it's the Amazing Spider-Man in 3D. Now, I talked a lot about that in a review a while back, so I don't remember all the details to try and explain it. I do remember, though, it had very good 3D, and, you know, I like the Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. I don't mind him as Spider-Man, and I like, you know, Emma Stone. I really enjoyed this one, though. The next one is from Lionsgate, and it's The Ghost Maker. Now, this one I really thought was pretty cool, and it actually was a little bit, you know, it was actually kind of original. You know, one of the more original idea horror movies I've seen in a long time. It's about this one guy that's sort of cleaning out this old woman's house, and he's you know, just basically cleaning up the basement. He ends up finding this coffin down there, and he's like screwing around with it, and the old woman's like, "Oh, take that thing to the dump, make sure it's been buried." So he's like, oh, I'm sure it's worth a lot of money. We should see if we can sell it. You know, we can get you a lot of money for this. Bury it. So he's like, oh yeah. So he ends up taking it back to his house, and he does research on what it is, and it's this device where if you wind the thing up, it ends up basically putting you in this state of being dead, you know, and it's like safely puts you in a state of being dead, and you can kind of walk around and do things and stuff like that. So it's him and his friend are kind of using this, and his friend's in the wheelchair, and when he's using it, you know, kind of starts to be able to walk, and things like this are happening to him. Some of my favorite scenes were the one guy is addicted to drugs, and there is a sequence with the one actor, and I was in a movie with him called David Sterling film called Vampire Club. He's a great actor. There's great stuff with him talking about like the drug scenes, and like he was really good in this guy. I can never pronounce his name right, but no, like I said though, like they're using this device, and the things that are kind of happening, it's not really good what's going on. And it's this old device, you know, like I told you, they found out about it. And, you know, it's just an interesting thing. You know, you'd think it would kind of be like Flatliners. It's not like Flatliners was more, they were kind of seeing visions. With this was, you know, in this thing, they can kind of be dead, and they end up using it for bad things. Like the ones like using it to rob a store and things like that, because they can sort of sneak around and spy on things. It was a very cool concept. I really liked this one a lot. And the next one is from Lionsgate as well, and it's Christmas in Compton, and it stars Keith David, Miguel Nunez Jr., and Eric Roberts. And I really wanted to see this for Keith David. Keith David was just in Cloud Atlas and was really good in that. That was one of the bigger movies, because he does a lot of low-budget kind of stuff, and I thought he was really good in Cloud Atlas. You know, I know it's gotten kind of mixed reviews. I really liked it, though. But this movie, though, is about Keith David as this owner of a Christmas tree lot in Compton, and it's doing pretty well. It's doing okay, but his son is works there with him, and his son is more into music, and he's kind of a, you know, finds acts. He's sort of a talent agent. It's not really going so well, and the father sort of doesn't look at it as a real job and sees it just sort of as a hobby. And he's just to the point where has this group that he's been with for a number of years, and he's getting ready to sign the group over to Eric Roberts, and he's supposed to be owed for these CDs and all these sales $300,000, and he's trying to screw him out of all this money and only give him $30,000. He's kind of has this idea that this is going to make him, you know, he's going to get all this money for this, and his dad is going to be so proud of him. And things don't go as planned, and he only is going to get 30 grand, and Eric Roberts is going to trying to find a way to take the group away from him. And it comes down to all these problems that happen along the way with him stealing, because Eric Roberts buys with the money that he owes him this ring for his wife, so he has this plan to try and steal the ring and, you know, get money for it and sell it to Miguel Nunez Jr., who's from Return of the Living Dead, who works at a pawn shop. So he has this kind of plan to all these kind of things he's trying to do at the same time he's trying to keep the group. I don't know, I thought this was a pretty good one. The one guy has a small part too, who was in Full House, not Full House, who was in Family Matters. I thought this was a pretty good, like, Christmas holiday one. Now this one, I didn't absolutely love this one. It's called 12 Christmas Wishes for My Dog. I was hoping it was actually going to be more of a movie about, like, the dog. I mean, it was okay. This wasn't my kind of vibe. It was a little bit of, like, kind of preachy. This wasn't my total vibe. It was okay, though. But it's this girl who, you know, she works for Fred Willard's character, and that was why I wanted to watch it, was for Fred Willard. And he's pretty funny in it, though. But I've always been a fan of Fred Willard. I know he's gotten some problems lately, though. But you know, kind of funny problems, though. He kind of laughs about it. But the movie, though, she works for this I think it was like an ad kind of a company, and you know, things are kind of, you know, they're basically going to be downsizing the company, and she's very worried about losing her job. At the same time where she lives, her dog just got taken away because she's been keeping the dog there. She hasn't supposed to have the dog because they have all these rules in the contract, and Michael Gross plays the neighbor who's like kept on tattling on her, like, oh, you have this dog, you gotta get rid of the dog, and the dog gets taken. Well, the dog doesn't get taken away. She ends up having to put it in a pound kind of place, or where you keep dogs for a while. So she ends up seeing this life coach who actually gives her all these wishes, and she's kind of wishing for stupid stuff. That was kind of one thing I didn't like, was like the wishes were like really weird. I was like, why are they wishing for that? I don't know. But she has all these kind of wishes, and they all have consequences. Like I said, this wasn't my kind of movie. You know, like I said, I was kind of wishing it was more about like the cute dog and like dog adventures and stuff. Like there hasn't been another Bingo in years. Like, I don't know. Every time I see those dog movies, I kind of hope for that. Like I said, it's not a bad movie, just not my kind of movie. The next one, now this is really pretty cool. It's the Document of the Dead from Synopsis, the brand new edition with new added sequences to it. I was just watching it a minute ago. It has new sequences with what opens differently. It has scenes from Land of the Dead set. Has scenes from Land of the Dead, and have some cool behind the scenes stuff showing the zombies in the water, which was like one of my favorite sequences in that. It has scenes from Diary of the Dead, which was interesting too. It was, you know, things weren't working out. It was interesting seeing, you know, George Romero directing and stuff. There's just some real cool candid stuff. But the main subject of this movie is behind the scenes of Dawn of the Dead. And it was, you know, I saw this documentary years ago. I have the original edition. Really have always loved this one. It's a really good look behind the scenes of Dawn of the Dead. And if you love Dawn of the Dead, this is definitely one you got to get. But it shows everything from the production and how they, you know, shut down during Christmas because of the decorations. And it just gets into all the details. Has really cool interviews. Has interviews with the one guy while he's in the zombie makeup, which is pretty cool. But like I said, this is one that I've loved for years. And if you love Dawn of the Dead, this is like an absolute must own because it's all about all like great behind the scenes stuff. The next one I got, this is one that I had wanted to watch for a long time. Walmart had it. I don't think it that as many. I don't know if they have it on Amazon or not. It's called The Life of Times with Grizzly Adams. It's kind of a weird thing about this guy who lives out in the wilderness with this bear. And I remembered seeing him on Cat House. I was like, what is he doing there? I was like, I don't know. But, yeah, starring Dan Hargerty. Kind of a weird 70s show. But you know me, I like to watch all those kind of weird 70s things. The next one I got is from A&E. I had not watched this one on TV, and I actually kind of thought this was pretty cool. And this is one of the ones, too, a lot of people have told me about and said, do you watch this one? Have you seen this one? It's called Duck Dynasty. It's about a group of these sort of, they're not exactly rednecks, they're sort of like the swamp kind of people. And they live out in Louisiana, and they all have become millionaires from this duck call thing that their father, the one father, and it's like a family, and cousins, everybody works making duck calls, and the one owner is kind of the one that went to school and is kind of trying to keep everybody in line, and he's real serious about it, and they're all kind of screwing around, and it's kind of him keeping things together. And it's this kind of these adventures they kind of go on of like hunting things. I don't love like hunting scenes, like, but you know, kind of the stuff they go on with the alligators and catching these weird foods that they're eating. I don't know. It's an interesting show. I like these kind of things. I also like Billy the Exterminator. But these are the kind of shows that are kind of just fun to watch. You know, Storage Wars and all that. You kind of just chill down, watch these kind of things, and they're interesting. They're not like something you see in everyday life. You don't see these kind of things. And it's interesting too how they have all this money, but you would never know it by the crazy stuff they're doing because they're not interested in having, you know, that kind of stuff. They're all interested in this business, and you know, and it's interesting because, you know, I don't even know a whole lot about the duck calls and stuff, so it's an interesting kind of thing. The next one I got is from VCI, and I got a couple of these to talk about, so I'm going to talk about it in the next couple updates. But this one has Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things and Forever Evil. Now, Forever Evil was so long. It was like an hour, almost 2 hours long, and I'm like, whoa. Like, I couldn't believe it was as long as it was. And it just kept going. You know, that one I did not really like. You know, it had a couple cool sequences, but Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things is a classic Bob Clark film. Every time I watch Bob Clark movies, I feel kind of sad because him and his son got killed years back by a drunk driver, right in the period of time when Bob Clark was going to be coming back, and he was going to be doing a remake of Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, which I was really looking forward to seeing. It was cast and ready to shoot within like a week. And I was so looking forward to seeing, because Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things is a great movie, but technically it's got a lot of little problems to it and not a perfect film. So I was really looking forward to seeing that. But it's about a group of these people that are kind of like theater actors that go out to this island and have a plan of, the one guy has a plan of digging up a body, and they're kind of screwing around with it, and at the same time there's zombies everywhere. It's a really weird one, but I've always liked it. And the next one, I was really interested in watching this. I found it at Fry's, and it's called Airborne. and Mark Hamill is in it. I thought Mark Hamill was going to play the captain for some reason. I kept thinking of him as the captain, but he was more the guy who was not on the plane, but, you know, talking, you know, in the command thing, telling him about, you know, be careful about this and all that. But it's a group on this airplane, and it's only like a couple people on there. It's like maybe 20 people, 15 people. They're taking a late night flight from England to New York. And when they're on there, things start going weird. One guy ends up going missing, and then the one guy's like, where'd that guy go? I can't find him. They're all like, oh, calm down, sir. And, you know, he's sort of panicking and then get himself tied up. And it's like people are dying off on this thing. And, you know, I liked it. It's a little bit difficult to explain. But I thought it was pretty good, though. Like I said, though, it wasn't that memorable, but it was all right. I guess it didn't stick with me that much. Now, this one I've been wanting to talk about for a while, didn't get around to it, and it's the Best of Ernest set. Now, the main reason I got this, well, it has Hey Ernest family album, you know, Ernest's Greatest Hits, Dr. Otto, which has been out of print for a while, which is now back in this. The Ernest Rides Again had actually never come out in America, only came out in Canada, and I think England to DVD. That was a pretty good one. Ernest Goes to School was the main reason I got this, because that's only ever been on Region 2 DVD, never on DVD in Canada or anywhere, which was a really good one with him going to school. The case in this is so strange, though. It's kind of like made... I've never seen a case, and you know, this is somebody who's like buying DVDs all the time. I've never seen a case made with this material. It's like made almost with walling. Yeah, like if you look at it, it's cardboard, sort of, but it's more like a wall material. Like I said, I've never seen anything in this thick material before. But you know, if you don't have, most people wouldn't have Ernest Goes to School, definitely pick this one up. It's a great set, very cheap too. So you have all the direct-to-video Ernest ones, or the later direct-to-video ones. But anyway, though, thanks a lot for watching, for subscribing. When I get back, it'll be like maybe a week or so between I'll have the next update. It just has to have enough stuff to talk about. But anyway, though, thanks a lot for watching, for subscribing, and I'll see you guys later.